Previously on the Completely Mind Blown by God podcast, the Campus Chronicles series. In the last episode, Naomi shared how her persistent prayer and declaration opened the door to receiving not just one, but 3 scholarships. Drawing inspiration from the biblical story of the persistent widow, Naomi encourages listeners to remain steadfast in faith, knowing that God's provision always exceeds our expectations. Tune in as we continue to explore the power of faith and trusting in God's timing.
Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another exciting episode on the Completely Mind Blown by God podcast. And I hope you guys have been doing really good because I have something good in store for you guys today. So, life can sometimes have unexpected turns. You understand? But despite whatever life chooses to throw at you, you don't look at it. You don't focus on that. As I've always been sharing with you guys for the past couple of weeks, don't let your life define or your situation define your future. You understand? Don't let it change your mind or dictate how your life is going to turn out. So I've been sharing with you that I got this big full scholarship, Yeah. Excited for the new year. I'm going to share with you guys last week that I fulfilled my part of the commitment, and I paid, instead of paying $250,000, I paid $300,000. God come true for me. You understand? So I'm all excited because I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna get my full scholarship. Everything is gonna be okay. Everything, is gonna turn out good. And God just keeps coming through for me and everything is going well. You understand? So after coming off my Christmas break, I returned to school well jolly because I say, all right, one fat sum of money get chop off of my tuition right now. You understand? And to my surprise, guys, I returned to school. And I know what the people are going to come tell me, say. But if God is for you, who can be against you, right? So I returned to school. And I go inquire about this full scholarship that I'm supposed to get. And they changed their minds, that they no longer can help me with this, grant me this full scholarship. And I'm like, excuse you? What do you mean? Yesterday I got through with a scholarship, the last time we spoke, we got through with a scholarship. If I come through with my part before the end of the year, then everything is going to be okay. I'm going to get my full scholarship that you guys promised. I have the receipts here of the money that I paid. I didn't pay $250, I paid $300. And I fulfilled my part of the agreement. So what are you telling me that I can't, They're saying that the scholarship cannot be used because I owe outstanding balances. And because I owe outstanding balances, the scholarship cannot be used to pay off debts. So that is what they're telling me. And that never made no sense to me. You know why it didn't make any sense to me? I've been living off scholarships. Okay? That was my only way of paying my tuition. Right? I've been living off scholarships. So, and I'm always in debt. I've always been in debt. And the scholarships, are paid towards the balance that I owe, always. You understand? And I understand that certain scholarships can have certain rules or guidelines on who to get scholarship and blah, 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 blah. I understand that. But I believe that they were lying. Yeah, I believe that they were lying because I have friends, and they owe probably not as much as me, you understand? But they owe money and still get granted scholarships. Some of them is the same scholarships too, you understand? So I was starting to think that they just didn't want me in the school. You understand? So I didn't pay it any mind. I calmed down. I said, God, you brought me this far. Okay, you brought me this far. You're going to work it out. I'm going to get this money because there ain't no way they're going to tell me that I've been granted this scholarship and then they're going to change their mouth and say that me not get the scholarship. There ain't no way. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't no way. Anyways, I continued, to go to classes and everything. Probably a month in or so, them call me. Yeah, them call me. I got called into the office. In the music office. Yes. I got called into the office and I was being asked what I'm gonna do because I owe how much money, and they are no longer giving me the scholarship, and they said that I have to pay off everything now. I have to clear off everything to get that scholarship. They have a timeline. So everything has to get rid of now before I can get that full scholarship. So I'm sitting there in the office and I'm trying to be polite. Yeah, I'm trying to be polite, because this particular person that I'm meeting with, they weren't necessarily for me from the beginning, and I sense that, they weren't really rooting for me from the beginning. I am seeing what is going on behind the scenes and realizing that they're plotting, and I'm there listening and being polite because, even though they might be your enemy or working against you, you still have to be polite because you don't want to be in the wrong. And if you're in the wrong, then God can't work for you because, you're in the wrong. You understand? So I'm there being polite and I'm answering his questions and I'm saying, I'm going to get the money. I don't understand why you guys changed your mind, because you explained to me that if I did this, then I can get this. And so I fulfilled my part of the deal, and you guys are not fulfilling your part. And what I understand with scholarships too is that if I am granted a scholarship, then it's in my name and therefore it cannot be used unless it's towards me. You understand? Nobody else cannot use that scholarship because it's in my name. That's how I know it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. You understand? That's how I know it is. And I was granted that scholarship, so therefore it's supposed to be paid towards my tuition. And I don't understand. He's explaining to me about they don't want to give scholarship to students who can't pay off school fee or anything like that, or who have back balance. And I'm saying that don't make any sense then, because if that was the case, then why would the person call me, right, and tell me that I could get the scholarship? They would have done their investigation on the scholarship, right, beforehand, before calling me. They knew that I owe a certain amount of money. They told me the figure over the phone, how much I owe. I told them how much I owe. I explained to them why I owe that money, and they said, okay, here's the deal. So what you are telling me right now makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. You understand? And they said, what you gonna do? Because I'm gonna have to discontinue your classes. That's my voice class again. No, they're going the extra mile to stop me from coming to school. But Naomi is a very determined girl. I'm a very determined little girly, and I don't like to be told that I can't do something, when I really can. Okay? Especially when I'm not in the wrong right here. I fulfilled my part of the bargain. I expect you to do the same, And so I decided I'm going to be determined. And I continue going to my voice classes because I'm saying this is unfair. That year I was in my third year, so our requirement was to do a show because I was studying to be a performer, right? By the end of the year, that would be our exam. So I'm prepping for my show. I'm in communication with my voice teacher and everything, right? And they're telling me, oh, I can't go to classes and all of that. But I did it. I did. And I kept going to classes. I kept praying because this was just another way the enemy just wanted to shape my faith. It was a test of faith, you understand? It was really a test of faith. I was perplexed. I was so angry. And that anger, trust me, it fueled my determination. Sometimes you have to just get angry. You just have to get angry at the situation and make up in your mind and say, this shall not be my portion. God is for me, who can be against me? That is what I did. I made up my mind because there was no way, you understand, that I was going to allow this opportunity to go down the drain. There was no way. This was only the act of the devil, you understand? The enemy was just fighting. It was just fighting me. And how I know it was fighting me too? Because that season of my life was the most intense season. Like going forward after this season of my life was the most intense season. I think I wanted to quit more than ever. I wanted to stop, but because I knew that God have brought me this far, and because I knew that God worked out and showed miracles after miracles and after miracles, you understand? I just made up my mind and said, I'm not going to stop because this is the will of God. And if God placed me here, then I'm going to overcome this. Everything is going to work out because God said his plans for me are good. His plans for me are good. And so because of that, this situation, it's not permanent. It's not written in stone. You understand? It's going to turn around in my favor. And this is just a test of my faith, right? And because of the experience of God, you know, that I had over the years, because my faith has grown over the years, I learned a lot about God and who he was. Now it was a test of faith to see that, do you really know your God? When everything is going against you, do you really know your God? Do you know who your God is? Do you believe that your God is a deliverer? You say it, but do you believe it? Do you know it in your heart? Because this season of my life was pretty rough. I mean, I felt like I got fight left, right, and center. I had to just be determined. I had to make up my mind. And I've cried tears. You hear me say? I've cried tears. There were moments where I was supposed to be rehearsing, right, for this show. I'm preparing for the show, right? And I went to get a practice room, and they told me that because I owe money, they are not going to give me a room key. After I was told that, I went downstairs into a little fire and I cried. I cried to God because I said, God, how could you make this happen? You understand? After you do this big miracle, and the way in which it was done too, the fact that my sister got a phone call like minutes after I put my chip in her phone, you couldn't tell me that that wasn't God. And I feel like that's the reason why God does certain things the way he does, you know, so that you know that this cannot be a coincidence, but this is actually a sign. This is actually a move from God. It could not be a coincidence that more minutes after I put my chip in my sister's phone, I got a phone call. That is not a coincidence. That is not a coincidence. And because I knew that that could not just be a coincidence, but that could only be God, I held on to it and I said, okay, God, this is just a part of the process. I don't know what you're processing me for, but in the end, I will reap big rewards. In the end, you're gonna come true for me because that is who you are. And if you allowed this to happen, then it's for a reason. And I just had to make up my mind. I don't know, the Holy Spirit just kept speaking to my heart that in that moment when I started crying in that fire, I cried, I wept. I didn't know what else to do because I was saying, every time I try, it's like there's always something else. there was always something else. I got called into the office. I can't tell you, oh my God, the amount of things that happened in that season. If I did not have God, I probably would have lost it mentally. You understand? If I never have God, that's how much pressure that came on my mind. These people were fighting me. You understand? And I could only tell you why they were fighting me, because as I told you, I was not the best student. I was not the best. And what they wanted was for me to teach instead of being a performer, because they're saying I'm not competent enough to be a performer because of my experiences on stage and all of that, the struggle with certain courses and learning about this new thing. I will admit, I was not the best student. I was learning, I was new to music. So based on all of that experience, I guess they gathered that, hey, we can't let this young girl go through this. We will do this so that she will not do a show, or she will not do this. You understand? I knew exactly why they were fighting me. You understand? They did not want me to finish. They did not want me to graduate as a performer. They wanted me to teach because they saw what I did, my experiences, and instead of them helping me to grow, they decided to say, hey, that is not the road that's cut out for you. Try to dictate my life. You understand? So I knew exactly why they were trying to fight me. You understand? Because nobody else, I didn't see. You will understand. You will understand. But God, I put my faith in God. I put my trust in God. I put my hope in God. I fixed my eyes on Jesus. I removed my focus on the circumstance and I embraced Jesus. And sometimes in life, there will be moments where it's gonna be so rough. The pressure is gonna be so much. But you see, once you embrace that pressure, trust me, you're gonna come out as pure gold. The beating, them have to beat that metal. They have to beat it and put it in fire. And that was what God was doing at that time. Me get some beating, I'ma feel it. But you see, if you not have God, if you don't have God, you're gonna lose it. You're gonna completely lose it. You're gonna completely lose it. And so my encouragement to you is that whenever you reach that point in life where the pressure seems heavy, where the pressure seems so overbearing, hold on to Jesus. Cry out to him if you have to cry out to him. If you're having a breakdown, go to him, enter his presence, sing and worship him. You see, once you start worship him and once you start sing and you start declare the word, the living word like Bible scriptures, trust me, all of that pressure is lifted off you. You just have to spend time in his presence and embrace him and declare who he is. Declare it so you can know. Meditate on the scriptures and say, oh, my God is a God who never fails. He never fails. If God is for me, who can be against me? You understand? You have to declare, you have to work the scriptures. You have to continue to spend time in his presence, because if you don't do that, the situation is going to be so big and overwhelming because you're going to put your focus on the situation instead of God. And what you want to do is put your focus on God, because you have to make God bigger than your situation. If you make a situation bigger than God, then God have no place in your life. God will not have any place in your life because you have made him so small. You have made him so small in comparison to the situation that you yourself no longer have any more faith to believe that God can help you to overcome or God can fight for you. You understand? You have to put your focus on God. You have to pray. When you're feeling down, you pray and you quote those scriptures and you pray up yourself. If you can't find no scriptures, pray in tongues. If you can't pray in tongues, cry out Jesus. You understand? And you pray to him, you tell him how you feel and you ask for help. Because you see, when you ask for help, he will always help. What I realized with God over the years is that when I pray and ask him for certain things, like things that I know that I feel incapable of doing. Doing music is one very much thing. Not just doing music, but finishing college overall. I couldn't see myself doing that. I couldn't see myself doing music because all I could see was the flaws, was the shortcomings and all of those stuff. But I prayed and I asked God, help me. Help me to see myself as how you see me. Help me to grow. Help me to work on myself and be better, or help me. I just prayed and asked God for help, and I don't know how. I can't comprehend or explain how I got through, but I always got through. I always got the help. Ask him for help. Ask him for his grace. Ask him for his strength, and he will answer. He just wants you to ask. You have not because you ask not. Put your focus on God, because if you don't, the situation is going to overpower you. And because you don't put your focus on God, sometimes it puts you in one place where you can't come back. For some people, they don't make it out of that situation at all. Why? They fail to put their focus on Jesus. I tried to do things myself, because, I'm a faith person and I know that faith without work is dead. So I'm always doing stuff. But sometimes you can do things so much that is even out of the will of God. Your action is actually fighting what God is trying to do in your life. Your act of faith is fighting what God is trying to do in your life. Sometimes what you need is not necessarily an act of faith, but is to wait. There are seasons for everything. There are seasons when you have to wait, and there are seasons that you have to move. And in that season, what I had to do was wait. Because the more I tried to do, outside of his will, the more it blew up in my face. So, study your seasons and know when to wait and when to move. And put your faith and trust in God. Make him your focus. There's a scripture. David said in Psalm 16 verse 8, he said, I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. You have to learn to set the Lord before you always. And know that because if he's at your right hand, because he's beside you, nothing can move you. Nothing can trouble you. You have to set the Lord always before you. Allow him to be your focus. Set him before you. So that is my word for this week. Set the Lord always before you. All right, my beautiful souls, it's time to say goodbye for now. But before you head off, I want to extend a big thank you for sticking around with me until the end. And as a token of appreciation, I've put together a special self-reflection activity just for you. Click the link in the description to dive into some soul-searching goodness. And hey, if you're curious about my personal insights and reflections on today's topic, swing by my website where I've shared some exclusive thoughts in the show notes. Don't forget, you can always stay in the loop by subscribing to the podcast and spreading the love by sharing this episode with your friends and family. Until next time, love you guys.